What's going on, everybody? Good afternoon. Hope you guys are doing well today. And this video is it's going to be something that I started doing last year, but I stopped doing for a little bit this year. And some people I actually was kind of surprised at how many comments I got from people asking, well, why aren't you doing the rooting guide postmortems anymore? And the answer is it's so early in the season where we're not even 100% sure what we want from game to game that I thought the idea of a postmortem was unnecessary. So I decided, you know what, we'll do the postmortems as the season goes along. But now we're in October, and it's not a bad idea. So we're going to go ahead and start doing postmortems every week from here on out. Where basically we just take a look at everything that happened in the last week of football and assess where the Seahawks now stand. It's always more annoying to do these, though, after a Seahawks loss. So unfortunately, the Seahawks did lose their game on Sunday, but we're going to do it anyway. Back in 60 seconds. All right, guys, let's take a minute so I can tell you guys about Sleeper. I'll tell you a little secret as well. It's more than just a platform for fantasy leagues. This year, millions of users have enjoyed playing fantasy sports on Sleeper, but there's so much more to it. You have live stats, real-time updates of all stats. You have a news feed with lightning-fast updates on players and teams, and a real-time chat where you can engage with other users about plays, performances, games, all kinds of stuff during the sports season. So download Sleeper, experience it for yourself, and don't forget to use my promo code SBN to get up to a $100 match on your first deposit, and pair that with their new promo that will give you a free $20 entry, no deposit needed. So you can use both of those promos. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states and going. So check out Sleeper today and use those promos. All right, welcome back. So the post-mortem, basically, we just look at the recent results and talk them through and basically try to unpack where the Seahawks stand. And starting with Thursday Night Football, there was a lot of debate over whether or not we wanted the Niners to win or the Rams to win. I felt like we would rather have the Niners win because the Niners are already so beat up. It's hard to imagine them lasting to the end of the year as a contender. I know that the fact that they're 4-1 and they're overcoming all these injuries right now might indicate the opposite, but you can't tell me that that team is going to sustain much of anything in 2025 when they have no pass rush at all. Like, good for them, they won on Thursday, but they have no pass rush. They have a negative pass rush, and they're going to have to trade for somebody pretty good to even have a chance to make it better. So I look at that Rams team, which, okay, you can start to doubt the Rams a little bit now because when you look at their season so far through a more objective lens, I think maybe we're starting to learn that the Rams are not as good as we thought. But I still think that at this point they are a bigger threat than the 49ers just because they're healthy. And they are well coached. They do have a quarterback that is certainly better than anybody the Niners have. And I feel like it's more likely that they're there at the end than the Niners. So I think this is a good result. Past that, though, let's move to what happened on Sunday. Obviously, we don't need to talk about the Buccaneers Seahawks. I'm not going to do that in the rooting guide because we all know what we wanted to happen there. But did we get help from the league as a whole? Vikings, Browns, it was close. I mean, it would have been nice. I really would hope that a team like the Vikings can get buried a little bit while they're so beat up. But it's not really happening. They're 3-2, so they're well within reach of their before the season aspirations. I granted I don't know how big the gap is between JJ McCarthy and Carson Wentz. I'm not overly impressed with either, but I would assume that McCarthy will ultimately be a better option for them. So the fact that they're getting these wins while they don't have McCarthy is troubling. Raiders Colts, I think this one is good because we play the Colts. The problem is the Rams already beat the Colts, so we had better beat the Colts. If we don't beat the Colts later this season, this is bad because then the Rams start to build a strength of schedule over the Seahawks. So therefore, we need to beat the Colts for this to be good, but for the moment, I'm going to go ahead and call it good. There are other teams the Seahawks might need to win the strength of schedule argument against as well, but it is worth noting the Rams have already beaten the Colts. That's the issue here. Giants Saints, sure, we beat the Saints, so it helps strength of victory and strength of schedule for them to win. They're obviously not going to win very many games this year. They're probably still in fire sale mode. The Giants are probably now in fire sale mode, so it was a pretty good outcome here. There is some risk, of course, that a Seahawks rival acquires a trade from one of these two teams, acquires a good player that helps them win down the stretch. But I think that this is probably what we wanted. Cowboys Jets, though, Jets not helping us out to the surprise of no one. They get pummeled by the Dallas Cowboys. So the Cowboys, they're hanging around, and I've talked about this before. I didn't count that team out completely after the Parsons trade. I didn't agree with the Parsons trade, but this offense is good enough to put together wins, and so far that's exactly what we've seen. This Cowboys offense is the real deal. Broncos Eagles, though, this was nice, although it's only going to matter if the Seahawks start winning games, because the Eagles are still probably going to be near the top of the conference at the end of the year. They're going to be in contention for the 1 seed. They're going to be in contention. Well, I don't even know if contention is the right word. They're probably going to win that division. So a game like this is nice if the Seahawks can string together wins, but it's not going to matter at all if the Seahawks are just kind of scraping around for a wild card at the end of the year in all likelihood. But sure, better than the alternative. Dolphins, Panthers, I don't know if anybody was really like thinking too hard about this. Carolina's hanging around kind of, sort of. They got 2 wins now. Would have preferred they just get buried versus an AFC team. But, excuse me. Sorry, guys. Still just kind of waking up here. And I want to be mindful of everything. I don't want to rule anything out. I don't want to say, oh, Carolina, they started 1-3. We don't have to worry about them at all. I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true for any team. Would have definitely preferred Miami kind of put the stake in, but Carolina's going to stick around for at least one more week. Texans, Ravens, though, we do play Houston this year, so I'm not against them piling up wins. Again, the problem is the Rams already beat the Texans. So if we lose to them in a couple weeks, we have a big problem. Because the strength of victory, remember, that's why we lost the division last year. That's what it came down to, strength of victory. And right now, the Rams are building up some strength of victory points with wins over the Colts and Texans. And the Seahawks need to match them by beating those teams later in the season. So keep that in mind. Good news here, though. Cardinals get walked off again. Third week in a row. Their coach is punching their players. They're blowing games that no team should ever blow. 22-21 when it was 21-6, should have been 28-6. At one point, one of the most absurd games of the year. Great stuff. At the end of the year, the games like this might matter because Arizona's not a bad team. They're okay. So, good result. Lions, Bengals, didn't get any help here. Certainly wasn't really expecting it. But Detroit, I thought they were going to fade a little bit this year. So far, after a bad week 1, they've been cooking ever since. Credit where credit is due. They have survived the loss of their coaches really well. So Lions not going away. Commanders, Chargers, no help here. Chargers start out great. They go up 10-0. Look like they're in control of the game. And then the roughing the punter call just completely flips everything, and they end up getting blown out. So Commanders survived the Jaden Daniels injury, and they're still going to be around. For all we know, they win the division, I guess. I don't think they will, but they survived. They were able to get a couple wins without him, and now here they are, beating a Chargers team that is very wounded right now, but in general should be good this year. So not ideal. Patriots, Bills, whatever. I don't think there's much to say here. Anybody could have won this game. It doesn't mean anything. Chiefs, Jaguars, though. We play Jacksonville next week. They're coming off the short week. We kind of need the win. I think them moving to 4-1 is probably good. If ever there was a circumstance where Jacksonville's going to come out flat next week, it's probably going to be this one, where they get the big last-minute win against the Kansas City Chiefs at home and get so hyped up, and then they got a quick turnaround time to playing Seattle. Like, this is kind of your ideal spot to get a win against a team that looks better than you right now. Okay, so that's going to be it for the Brooding Guide Postmortem. Let me know what you guys think. I will see you guys soon. Go Hawks. I think I'm going to do at least one more video later today. I might stream. I'm not sure. And see you guys soon.